Who's ready for some 2020 Concacaf Champions League? I know I am. The bracket has been set. Exciting times for football, soccer, football in our region. Glad you could join us as we break it all down. I am Max Brelos and joined by Keith Costigan, voice of the Seattle Sounders, also at Fox Soccer Channel, and the editor of El Tri Online, Joe Rodriguez. Hello, gentlemen.
How are you doing?
Are you as excited as I am?
Very excited this year. Is it going to finally be the year for MLS? That's the question.
Maybe.
Maybe. That sounds promising. Let's show you the brackets. They have been all announced, and this side of the bracket that we're about to show you, let's call it side one, or the left side, is loaded. And it begins with Atlanta United backing the Concacaf Champions League after making the debut a season ago. They'll take on Motagua of Honduras.
Yeah, we have the group of death normally in different tournaments. This is the side of death.
Bracket of death?
Yes. This side is going to be very difficult. Look, Atlanta United should be favorites there. Club America, for me, one of the top two teams traditionally in this competition. They'll be favorites to move on against Comunicaciones as well. But you don't want to overlook these teams either. They're here for a reason. They've earned the right.
Yeah.
Exactly. They've earned the right.
Actually, it should be mentioned, Joe, these teams like Saprissa and Comunicaciones and Motagua and Olympia, they have to go this whole process to make it. So they are weathered and ready to rock.
Absolutely, and I would not expect anything less from any of those teams. They're going to go in there and fight as hard as they can, and I'm sure that there's going to be an upset or two potentially brewing.
Yeah, we saw Cruz Azul there on the bottom half of the bracket, then LAFC and Leon. Leon, the best team in Pool B. LAFC drew them. Let's go to the other side of the bracket here. Keith and Tigres, they've won it before. They are arguably the best team in this region year in, year out. They will face Alianza of El Salvador.
Yeah, I think, again, look, we don't want to overlook anybody, but Tigres, they will feel that this is a favorable draw. Not just this draw, but the pathway for them to go all the way in this competition again. This is the best side of the draw to be.
Yeah, New York City FC and AD San Carlos.
Yeah, they should move easily, and like you mentioned, New York City FC probably favoring this particular matchup, and if Tigres moves on, then obviously they pay the winner of that. But Keith, that's the one you're looking for.
Yeah, this is a bit of history. Brad Evans scored the winner late, went nuts. He had a bit of a fight with the Olympia goalkeeper last time. But yeah, if you're Sounders, you look at some of the other teams you could have played, could have got Leon. This is a good draw for them.
Olympia there, Montreal Impact, and Saprissa. Saprissa, former champion. They've actually won this tournament more recently than an MLS team has won. Montreal did reach a Concacaf Champions League final at one point, though.
They did, actually, and they did so by beating a couple of Liga MX teams. And this matchup against Saprissa, a little tough for them because playing in Costa Rica is a very, very tough environment. So a lot of Mexican teams have gone down there and come out losing. You can say the same thing about the Mexican national team.
You like the Thierry Henry factor?
That for me is amazing. Thierry Henry on the sideline in Costa Rica against, I mean, he has witnessed a lot in his career. I don't think he's quite witnessed anything like this. That's going to be fun to watch.
There's some good coaches in here.
Yep.
Bob Bradley, Frank de Boer, Pedro Troglio at Olympia, and it certainly includes there with Thierry Henry, Tuca Ferretti, the list goes on. And coaching will be a big factor as we now show you specifically the teams from Major League Soccer that will be making the round of 16, all 5 of them, and no one has more than 5 teams making it through due to what they did in the MLS season, with the exception of the Montreal Impact, Keith, because they won the Canadian Championship ahead of Toronto FC, which had to be a surprise.
Yeah, it was, and I think, again, for me, just going to Montreal first, it's a perfect opportunity for Thierry Henry to get going on the right foot in his reign and his second term as a coach. It didn't quite go as well for him in France. I think MLS has never been better prepared to send one of these teams all the way through and lift the trophy. I think Seattle, very good knockout team. LAFC spent a lot of money. Atlanta, the same. I know Liga MX, Joe, have dominated, but MLS is coming.
The one thing that concerns me here a little is that 2 teams are making their debut.
Yep.
The experience that Liga MX teams have on the other side of the bracket is a little bit better. But again, when you have LAFC and New York City FC making the debut, it's a little bit different in international tournaments.
Right, I would just say Atlanta United looks really spotty making their debut. I like their chances a lot more because they have last year's tournament under their belt. Frank de Boer has that under his belt as well. Seattle Sounders, champions of Major League. What are you smiling? You got a big grin because I say Seattle. All right, yes, they
fond
were
memories
at the expense of LAFC, but we'll talk about that later. You gotta like their path. It certainly gives you at the very least a good shot statistically, according to the gamblers, to make a semifinal.
Yeah, I think one of the keys to going deep in a tournament is not just how good you are, it's how good the teams you are playing. And if you're going to avoid some of the big guns,
I like that. That was profound.
Yeah. Look, the best statements are the easy ones. Okay. No, look, I think Seattle have shown in MLS they're a good knockout competition team. They've done it every year in the playoffs. Even last year was a couple of key injuries that denied them the opportunity to go all the way again. So, yeah, I think against LAFC, they showed they can sit deep, they can soak up pressure, they can counter. Something you'll have to do if you're going to play against the Tigres or maybe even further on against an America. So I don't think Brian Smetzer, who's become an elite coach in MLS over the last couple of years, goes into this with any fear, and they really want to do well.
Let me follow up that. I know you speak to those guys a lot. How do you feel the level of ambition is for this tournament? Do you feel that hey, we're all in, or is it a little bit more tentative?
I think I'll look at MLS as a whole. For me, MLS as a whole kind of looks at this as, oh yeah, it's good. Until an MLS team wins Concacaf Champions League, then you'll hear, this is the best tournament. We're going to Club World Cup. So, but I do think if you speak to Brian Smetzer, he's pretty honest. He wants to do well in this competition. But you also know it's all about how you perform in MLS.
He's getting a lot because he knows that Seattle has a very favorable draw. It could have got
say that, by the way. You did.
Okay. Let's look at the club I'm affiliated with, LAFC, and I will tell you the reason I asked you is because I spoke to John Thornton, the GM, and I spoke to Bob Riley. They want this, and I say, do you think you can manage it? And they kind of gave me the great coupon question. Remember that old? Oh no, it's from Trading Places. Would you like the lobster? Or you like this thing? Why not have both? They give me that line. So hey, maybe it's true, but their run is very difficult. And if they make the final, you could possibly see them facing 4 Mexican teams, which isn't a recipe for success in the Champions League. But I think LAFC have to separate from the history of the league and see if they can make some noise here. I think they can.
Max, the one thing I will say, and we talked about this before, Seattle made it very difficult for LAFC by sitting back, defending deep, and countering. I don't think Liga MX teams are going to come up against LAFC and sit back. They won't do it. It's not in their DNA. They're going to come forward. If you come forward against this LAFC team, you will be torn apart on the counter. I expect LAFC to go all the way to the final, or at least the semi-final on their side, knowing that they have a tough draw as well. There you go. I didn't say they're going to win it, though.
That's all right. One step at a time.
Well, you know what, Max? If we really stop and think about that, you said that 4 Liga MX teams, that's a daunting task. Yeah. And if LAFC was to do that, they would probably go down in history as probably one of the best MLS teams ever. So 4 teams, maybe, I don't know. I mean, I think making it to the final like Heath, I see them maybe going to the semis. It's really, really difficult for MLS teams to get that. But then again, Toronto FC did make that strong run.
Do you think that Leon one is a good matchup for them to begin with?
It's a great matchup because then that would set kind of like the precedence of what's coming. If they beat Leon, they get off that strong start, then we're talking a different ballgame.
It's a strange game. If you win that, you're better prepared. Yeah. But I think because the season hasn't started, you would like to have seen a team like 80 San Carlos or maybe Alianza where you could and I don't want to take it away from you.
He wants to walk right into it.
But you want to get there, and then you get those games under your belt, you get wind in your sails, and it's good. All right, that's enough on the MLS perspective. Let's look at the Liga MX teams. This is the gold standard when it comes to the Champions League. And Joe, I think one thing that MLS has to look at is how seriously Liga MX takes this tournament. It's a huge deal. Everyone was watching the draw. Everyone is already talking about what's going to happen in 2020. We don't do that in the U.S. We've got to start doing that.
So for the people that were watching the draw yesterday, when they cut away to Piojo after he found out they were playing Comunicaciones, you saw a tight little grin in his face, right? Nice cake game, some will call it, for Club America. 5th time appearance since the Champions League era. Obviously, they've won this before, and Club America is one of those teams that wants to win it all because they're like the creme de la creme of Liga MX, right? So when you see Club America getting that nice, easy game to start the tournament, it's probably going to set again the precedence, right? It's all about getting that first game. So I think that his fans are excited.
And I think as well, we're just about to see Monterrey perhaps play against Liverpool in a semi-final at a Club World Cup. So the importance of announcing yourself on the world stage against the European champions. A lot of people feel like, even the Ballon d'Or, it's dominated by players in Europe. Concacaf, South American regions want to go head-to-head. To win this competition gives you that opportunity to go head-to-head with some of the best in the world as well.
You mentioned Monterrey. I think that's one relief for MLS. Yes. Monterrey's playing as good as anyone, anywhere right now. And they are through to a Liga MX final, which won't be played till later in December. Playing the Club World Cup. It's not here. It's not MLS where the tournament's concerned at this point. Time now to get a Mexican perspective, and to do that, we welcome in Liga MX insider Elmur Souza, who joins us now. And Elmur, Mexican clubs have dominated this competition, but it's a good group of MLS teams. Is there any fear down there in Mexico that this could be the year for Major League Soccer?
Come on, man. Are you see me shaking for having some fear? No, that's the same feeling from the Liga MX teams because they don't feel anything, any concerns about MLS clubs because it's going to be a way different path and preparation from the preseason for MLS, from Liga MX. Right now, several Liga MX teams, they already start this preseason. MLS team will be started on January 11th. The only concern in Liga MX team is who's going to be the winner, León, Cruz Azul, América, or Tigres. That's the only concern. Trust me.
All right, Carlos Vela and LAFC, first ever Concacaf Champions League for Carlos Vela. I know this has to be a big deal down in Mexico, so how is Vela in this competition being received down there?
It's going to be a big deal, just like you said, and hopefully has a good reception in León, because it's going to be the first time that Carlos Vela will play in national soil with his club, because the only way that the Carlos Vela play in Mexico is with the national Mexican team. That's the only way. Hopefully, the people in León has a good reception from Vela, because he's a Mexican guy. He's a great player. He's defending an American club. Yeah, right. But at the end, he's a Mexican. So hopefully has a good reception, and at the end will be delight a good match.
Thanks, Elmer. And I will say that León, after finding out they're drawing LAFC, have already sent on their Twitter and social media handle, hey, come see Carlos Vela in the round of 16. They're using it to sell tickets, so it's a big thing. All right, so let's look at Liga MX's dominance, and there's no shortchanging them here. Since the inception of the Champions League in 2008, 2009, they've won every edition. They've won the last 14 overall. There is some MLS finalists there, 3, Real Salt Lake in 2011, Toronto in 2018, I should say also in 2015, you had Montreal. So it is what it is. In order to beat the man, as Ric Flair said, Keith, you got to beat the man.
Yeah, I didn't think we'd be talking about Ric Flair today, so I haven't done my homework on that.
He said, in order to be the man, you got to beat the man.
Pretty
And he also said, woo!
Woo. Maybe that should be the catchphrase for MLS.
Yeah, look, for me, they haven't just won, they've won convincingly. They've streaked away from MLS teams, but over the last few years, again, we've seen teams with more ambition come into MLS, not just signing journeyman players or players at the end of their career. They're signing players in their prime. You just mentioned Carlos Vela. Rodriguez comes in at LAFC as well, Rossi. These are players that would walk into any Liga MX team as well. So I think finally now you're starting to get that gap closing. Now it's up to one of these MLS teams to get over the hurdle. That's the most difficult thing, Joe. You mentioned the experience, and to have that experience it's difficult to get beyond that at times.
Yeah, and the one thing that MLS teams have to be wary of is this. It's going to get even more difficult to clinch into this tournament.
Yep.
When you add more teams, right? Inter Miami is going to come in. Do you think Beckham's going to just lounge back and not want to make these type of tournaments? Well, we know what it means. So
let's see him do it.
Yeah, well, but he's going to definitely want to make it. And what I'm saying is that a lot of these MLS teams, they're gunning for tournaments like this because that means an even bigger stage, right? When you get to go to the FIFA World Club tournament and you get to play the likes of Liverpool and Real Madrid, that's where a lot of these MLS teams could make an even bigger mark than what they really want to make.
Your point. Once they get that taste, they'll see what it's all about. But also what you mentioned, sort of imitating what Mexico's done. Raul Ruiz-Diaz, who was a great campaigner in Liga MX, is now a member of the Seattle Sounders. That can only help the Sounders' path as far as they go. We shall see. We'll be along for the ride. Tournament begins in February and it ends in May. You guys ready for some somewhat kind of predictions? I'm going to ask for your favorite.
Yeah, I would like Joe to go first on this one so I can piggyback off his predictions.
I'm going to piggyback off both of you, so it doesn't really matter. But go ahead, Keith. So the rundown says you first.
I'm going to go LAFC America in one semifinal, LAFC to go through, Tigres and Sounders on the other side, Tigres to go through.
What a great semifinal that would be.
Tigres to win against LAFC in an absolute epic final.
Wow. I see Club America on the other side of the bracket, and I see another repeat of a Liga MX final. I see Tigres coming out of there. Sounders also getting in very deep. They've been playing fantastic, and I just don't see an MLS team winning this year. LAFC run could make it all the way to the semis, but when they have to play León and potentially Cruz Azul and America, they'll probably make it to the semis and lose to America. And that'd be a fantastic matchup, though, by the way.
That's not good enough for MLS. You gotta win it. So one of these things, all do enough. You can always take small victories out of this, but it's gotta happen at some point. I really been talking about an MLS team winning it this year. I like the teams that are there. However, after I saw the draw, it just didn't leave me with any means of putting an MLS team all the way through. I like LAFC, I like Seattle, but I think they ended the semifinals. And you guys, Tigres have the most favorable draw, and I think that'll help you get through. And they'll face America in the final. I hope I'm wrong. but Tigres to win it.
But with a coach like
Tuca
yeah,
Ferretti is the man.
exactly. It's really hard to say again. Tigres, the team of the decade in the eyes of many in the Liga MX. It's just really difficult to bet against them. I wouldn't. Would you?
I do think you have coaches on the MLS side now who are ambitious in this competition. I think Bob Bradley didn't come back to MLS to not want to rule this region. I think Brian Smets has had a taste of 2 MLS Cups. Thierry Henry coming in as well. And the board, his international flair and experience. So these are managers that look at this competition and say, you know what, I want to win this competition and I want to go to 2 World Cups. So
Atlanta,
it's going to be fascinating.
Now. You really are.
Yeah.
Hey, Atlanta could be a sneaky one.
I like that call. I think Atlanta a year wiser, but they'll face America possibly in the quarterfinals. Again, so many mouth-watering matchups. We will get to enjoy them all along with you early on in 2020 in the month of February. On behalf of everyone here, Elmer, Keith, Joe, and Max, enjoy the games.